Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for being here in this session. The other two talks are very interesting. I want to be there as well. It's about Flutter and machine learning. So thanks for joining us here. So I'm on Twitter as Coderine Heels because although I'm retired, and I'll talk about that in a little while, I still code. And I'm always wearing high heels because I'm not really that tall. Oh, it's not, okay, that's fine. Right, so these days, as I said, I'm retired, and I'm twice retired in my life, actually, although I'm not at retirement age yet. I do a lot of work in terms of the women in tech space in London. So currently, I'm the director of Women Who Code in London, and I'm also one of the leads for Google Women Tech Makers. So my co-organizer, Bushra, is here as well. And there are four of us leading the Women Tech Makers team in London. I'm also part of a group called ADIS List, which is also a Women in Tech networking group. And I'm involved with the NASA Space Apps Challenge that happen every year, and also involved with the Twitter developer community. So I lead the Twitter developer community in London. And there are other things that I do back in London. So I've got a degree in mathematics and applied mathematics. And when I started in Citigroup, I actually was a software developer, but I was with them for a long time. And when you're with a company for a while, you tend to move on from one role to another. So from being a software developer, I moved to Hong Kong to do some systems analysis. And then when I moved to Singapore, I was heading the QA team, and I had to actually bring my whole team to Miami. And they were obviously very happy, young folks being able to work in Miami for like a year was wonderful. Then I moved to New York, and New York and London kind of happened for me at the same time. I was doing business development and project management, but still within the technology team because that's really the environment and world that I like and enjoy. So I was with Citigroup for 12 years, and I decided I want to just rest and retire and just enjoy life, basically. But I'm just not the type of person who can sit and do nothing. I always am like looking for something to do. So instead of really retiring, I bought a small money transfer company. It's like Western Union, but a small version of it. I don't have millions to buy a Western Union size company. At the same time, we're running a travel agency, a newspaper publishing business, as well as an e-commerce site. I was doing that for a few years, and I said to myself, maybe I should just retire again because I've been doing this for a while. So I did. So I retired again. But as I said, I can't just sit and do nothing. So I'm really, really bad at retiring. So at that time, when I retired the second time, someone mentioned meetup.com to me. And initially, I didn't even log on to the website to check it out because I thought it was a dating site, but obviously it's not. But when someone said, no, there are tech events there, I checked it out. And I initially, joined the meetups just to attend, find out what's happening. But then I ended up leading some of them, and I always do that to myself. So these are some of the meetup groups that I was leading in London. And obviously, this is, I think we all know this, that this is like the typical picture of meetups and conferences that we see. So these are the various events that happened in London back then. Some of these are the events that I actually led myself, and sometimes I'm the only woman, or there's maybe 2 or 3 more, but there's not a lot attending. This was at Facebook. I think this was a React.js meetup, and there were 300 plus attendees, and there's maybe 5 or 6 women. And then I went to an Apple conference in San Francisco, saw some women there, so I said, oh, that's great. But then this is the picture that I took when we were going to the main hall. Obviously, it's not the fault of this guys that this is the picture that we always see. But this is not representative of the users and clients that we're building software or devices for. So this is not the right picture. So I said to myself, okay, instead of concentrating on the more general meetups, I think I'll just, maybe refocus and try and just support women in tech and get more women into technology, because there's a big population out there, women who actually are interested in shifting to tech, but they just need to be shown how to do it, because sometimes it kind of looks scary, and when people talk about tech, it's like a wall that people think they cannot break into, and we all know, we're in tech, and we know that anyone can do it. So I got involved with Women Who Code, and as I said, I'm the director for London. We're now in 20 countries and 60 plus cities, and globally we have 167,000 members. In London, we have 5,300 plus members as of last month. I haven't checked yet whether it's grown, but it's growing rapidly. As I said, I'm also involved with Women Tech Makers and Ada's List. And really, I'm just inspired by the first programmer, who happened to be a woman. And why am I really doing this? Because I just want to really try and contribute in terms of like changing the picture, changing the ratio, because pictures like this are not, as I said, representative of the users, the population that we're building software for. So we need to change it. Like this was this conference, I think this was in the US, talking about women's empowerment, but there's no woman in the panel. So I think this got canceled, actually, because there were a lot of complaints. And here's another one that happened maybe a few years ago, and talking about women in math, but it's not, as you can see, it's not the right profile of the speakers. And there have been a lot of studies as well, and I'm not going to bore you with like details, but there have been a lot of studies where it's shown that a more diverse and inclusive team actually produces a lot more results, and it does impact the bottom line. At the end of the day, companies obviously are concerned about the bottom line. So, for example, in this study, it said that when teams had one or more members who represented a target end user, the entire team was as much as 158% more likely to understand the target end user, and they can innovate accordingly. And of course, if they are actually hitting the right target with the products that they're building, that affects the bottom line. So there is a business case, to really focus on making sure that the team that's building your product and software are representative of your end users. So how do we kind of do this? How do we want to change the ratio? So back in London, we do a lot of workshops. And I think this happens in a lot of cities as well, globally, with the Women Tech Makers groups and the Women Who Code groups and other groups. There are a lot of women in tech groups globally. In London alone, we have 40 plus women in tech organizations. And we try and work together. At the end of the day, it's not a competition, because we're trying to do, to change the same thing. So it's best that we work together. So we do have a lot of workshops like this. These are all free. So that was on the Apple Watch, and this was, I think this was at Google, and we were building some apps for the Android Watch. We do a lot of hackathons like this, summits that are focusing on women topics, women-related topics, as well as obviously more hardcore tech topics. These are some of the classes that I've actually conducted myself. Again, we try and keep it free, because I don't want to see that the cost is a barrier for women to attend these workshops and learn from them. As I said, there are a lot of women who want to break into tech. There's a lot of interest for sure. So this attendees are all actually beginners, and none of them have done any coding before or built a web page before. And for me, it's really just, personally satisfying to see women, younger women especially, who are kind of building a bit of confidence in themselves by, getting from point A to point B, where at point A, they're not very confident about anything tech related, and then being able to at least build something simple. Obviously, this is a very simple exercise that we were doing, just building a web page. But for someone who hasn't done it before, it helps for them to build their confidence. And hopefully, from this simple workshops, they will, they're able to pursue more advanced workshops. So again, as I said, we do a lot of summits like this. I think this was in Berlin, the first Women Tech Makers Summit in Berlin. So I always, as I said, I always want to keep myself busy, and instead of just concentrating on smaller events like I've shown earlier, I actually started a Women in Tech conference in London. It's called Techno Day. And the idea for this is to, okay, let me backtrack. This happens twice a year around International Women's Day and around Ada Lovelace Day. Ada Lovelace being the first programmer. So again, it's a free conference for women to attend. We do welcome allies, obviously, but our target audience are women. We do get allies involved by having them, coach at workshops or give a talk as well, or be part of a panel, or be a volunteer for the day. I'm just going to show you this video so that you can see what the conference is about. Sorry, sound. So last March we had a very first Techno Day, a brand new event that was focused on women in technology.
This is actually what NASA do, meetings on Mars.
You want to write code to learn how to solve a problem.
She never, ever fails because she believes in what she's offering the client.
If you're a woman initiating your startup or currently thinking about it, this is a great opportunity for you to learn, network, and get great tips from the women-led startups who are going to be there.
I'm a broadcast journalist.
My profession is marketing.
My background is teaching.
I'm a developer, recruitment director.
I'm Italian, and in Italy there's nothing like this.
I went for the HTML, CSS workshop. Amazing. I did one of the beginner workshops, the Ruby one, it was really good.
The free workshops and the talks were all fantastic, very inspirational.
Specifically hearing from lots of really empowered women that have gone out and have done these kinds of things, that it's possible.
There's going to be a lot of workshops, and you might even have the opportunity to find your first co-founder or your first developer.
It was great. I didn't expect the room to be packed and people standing in the back, and it was full.
If you're a student, this is a great time for you to connect with amazing companies that are going to be present that day.
It's been a really, really amazing day.
I think I want to start to code now.
Totally insightful, and I feel really confident this is something we can do.
This event is totally free to attend. All you need to do is go to the website, register, and we'll see you at Techno Day on October 10th. So I started that last year, and we've already had 4 Techno Days, as I said, around March during International Women's Day, and October around Ada Lovelace Day. So we're now planning the next one, which is happening again in March 2019. Sorry. Right, it looks like we got cut off from the internet. Just gonna reconnect. Okay, sorry about that. Okay. So that conference, as I said, is free for women to attend, and obviously we do get sponsors to cover the costs. And as long as we can cover the costs and you can run the workshop, I'm pretty happy with that. Because at the end of the day, what's important for me is to upskill women. And what we do at Techno Days, we have talks like this one, but the main focus really of the day is to get a lot of hands-on workshops. So these are some of the topics that we have offered in the past. So for the last one that we did in March, we had 40 plus hands-on workshops. So as you can imagine, I always need a venue with a lot of rooms because we do offer a lot of workshops like this. So these are just some of the samples that we've offered in the past. And then aside from the conference, I said to myself, maybe I should focus on other aspects as well of the women population in London, where some of them can't really afford to pay for a boot camp, which is around £8,000 or £10,000 normally. So that's a lot of money for someone, especially if they're just trying to break into tech. So I built this scholarship. And we actually had our first one in Swift. I mean, we're offering other workshops as well, like on Android development and other aspects of technology. But we started with Swift, and we had like 32 women who attended the scholarship program. These are the first batch of scholars that we took in. And what's wonderful is some of them actually have had offers already after the scholarship program. And this lady in particular, the one on the right, so she's Julie. She's actually the oldest of the batch, and she just got an offer last month. No, she had an offer earlier, but she started last month with Capgemini. And as I said, for me, it's very satisfying to actually see results because we know that we're able to help women actually break into technology. And what she said as well was. It kind of attending, this boot camp actually helped her gain her confidence and actually go out there and actually get interviewed by tech companies because I think she wasn't feeling very confident about that before this. So that's great results again, and we're just going to continue that, offering other topics as well. And as I said, my focus right now really is for women who can't afford to pay for a boot camp. So, sorry about that. And, why am I, doing this? I can be, as I said, I'm retired, so I can really be just enjoying life, going shopping and traveling. I do travel a lot still, but I chose to spend my time more wisely, I guess. We've got a limited time, on Earth, so I might as well do something positive. And again, why am I doing this? I just want to be able to turn that dial, change the ratio. And I enjoy it a lot as well. And we probably have seen this before. Doing what you love is where happiness lives. And I can tell you for sure that this is something that's really making me very happy. And obviously, there's the evidence is growing that there really is a business case for diversity, and we don't want this picture anymore. We want it to be, more diverse and inclusive than this. And we've been in this situation for a long, long time now, so I think we need to change it. I'm gonna show you this video, another video, and then I'll wrap it up. But this is a video that's useful to see.
If you look at Twitter's user base, it reflects basically all of humanity.
There's no doubt in my mind that technology jobs are critical to every part of the economy, every part of the way we live, the way we work.
If we are somehow subtly or systemically excluding women, we are really cutting down on the size of the workforce.
Computer science is changing our whole world. Unfortunately, it's a very undiverse field. It's actually quite segregated.
This is both a gender as well as an ethnicity issue.
It's when the idea of the nerd genius came to the fore, and that's exactly when women started declining in their representation.
We imagine someone sort of sitting at a keyboard typing all day. We don't realize how much design and creativity goes into making software.
You don't have to be antisocial. You don't have to want to not sleep. You don't have to want to spend all of your time with a computer. You don't have to be male.
I think people are sometimes surprised when I tell them I work in computer science, just because it is a male-dominated industry.
As someone who studied rocket science, I can tell you that coding is not rocket science.
Writing software is just a tool to actually go build something cool that you want to build.
To be able to just build a product from the ground up, to make something exist where it didn't exist before, has been really exciting.
There's so many programs and websites now where you can just teach yourself.
It was actually a really important thing for us as a company to establish having women on the team.
The greater the empathy you have with the people that are trying to use the product, the better the product is.
I absolutely think that women can be just as great as men at programming. And the great thing is I can look the way I do, I can wear lipstick and write just as good code as you, and people need to be comfortable with that.
At conferences, there's been
sexually explicit comments made towards speakers, towards attendants. It's gross. It's despicable.
We're not seen as part of the boys' club.
There's this assumption there, like, that I brought the coffee.
People would assume I was a recruiter or talk down to me. I can't think of a single software product that would only be used by men. So it's hard to imagine that it would be appropriate to have any team that was only men, or only women for that matter.
Important mantra is you are not your user.
Unfortunately, the first round of airbags killed a lot of women and children. And it turns out that the airbags were developed for the average specs of the engineer on the team. And those engineers happen to all be white men.
You have to be impatient. You have to say, this has to happen now. We have to do what we can now. Whatever it takes to move the number now, we have to do that now.
Okay. So, as I said earlier, why am I doing this? I think it makes sense for us to do this now. If we're not going to do this now, when are we going to do it? So we cannot obviously change our past, but we can always improve our future. And we just need to keep moving forward. And we know I know we can do it because there are allies, and I'm hoping that a lot of you guys in the room are actually allies in terms of what we're trying to do to get more women into technology. There are a lot of issues, obviously, that needs to be addressed because it's not just a matter of addressing the pipeline. There's also a matter of addressing the environment that we're actually sending women to in order to really change the ratio, in order to actually get more women staying in technology and not discouraging them from pursuing a career in technology. So that's it. I'm ready for questions if you've got any questions, and hopefully that's helpful. Thank you. Okay. Do you have any questions?
Jen.
Okay.
And let's look at the questions. So there are many initiatives to help women get into tech, but this tends to be a very homogeneous group. How can we make events for women of all backgrounds?
Okay. Yes, I would say that we obviously have a problem in tech where it's primarily white men, but we do have, I guess, the same on some level. We do have the same issue with the women in tech groups that we have globally. We do need to attract more women, from like different backgrounds, whether it's a case of like race, religion, and other factors. We do need to change it as well. I do acknowledge that we do need to change that, and it's really, I guess, it's a matter of reaching out. That's what you do. You need to find these groups and invite them to attend some of the workshops that you're doing or the talks that you're giving.
Okay. And I think this connects to the second question. How many adult women from different backgrounds do actually change their career to tech?
How many? Oh, that's actually a difficult question to answer because there hasn't really been studies that's been done. We do need to measure things, and I don't think we're actively doing that at the moment. So I can give you a figure, but that's probably fictitious anyway. So yeah,
just
no
an opinion.
Exact
Is it like, do you know personally women who did this?
Yeah, there are a lot of women, and that's why we do those free workshops actually to get women who are interested to actually shift to technology. Because if there's interest, like I personally would be willing to help women who are interested in shifting.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. A bit controversial question then. What do you think about the topic that creating women-only groups seems like that they need some special protection and even shine bad light on men programmers?
I don't think it's. I don't think it should be seen as a bad thing that we're trying to consciously do something that's focused on women. Because as I said, we've been in this situation for a long time. In the 70s, I think there were a lot more women in technology, but obviously, a lot of them got married, had kids, and didn't go back to work. And as I said, environment-wise, I think it changed a lot in technology, where there's a lot of sexism, and that obviously will encourage women to stay in that environment. So no, I don't think it's a bad thing to actually focus on creating programs for women because we need that. We can't change the situation now if we don't do it consciously. And now, if we're just because we're doing something for women specifically doesn't mean we're shining a light on a bad light on men, because as I said, we do need men to be allies in this initiative, because there's a lot more of you in technology, and I think by helping us you can actually help us really change the ratio.
Okay. Do you know about any groups like Women Who Code that are based in Prague?
There are, I think, several organizations here in Prague.
Well, we have women tech makers also in Czech Republic, so if you are interested,
yeah, there
then
is, yes, definitely.
please maybe contact me. I will re-forward you.
Okay.
How to start making space in hostile environments?
Okay, so for example, for a lot of startups these days, there will be spaces for like a billiard table or what do you call that, the foosball table, or for beers and all that. So we kind of need to change that. For example, there's a good example that they're doing here at this conference where there's a creche, because obviously it's welcoming of mothers, who wants to be able to attend the conference, but normally they couldn't because they need to find someone to look after their kids. So we do need to make an effort to really make sure that we try and think of the environment that we have in our workplaces and see if it's really welcoming of women, and especially women who are married and have kids, to look after.
Okay, thank you. And that one is interesting. If I understand correctly, your activities are again women only. You said not women only, but you focus in women. So basically, so should it not be our goal to join men and women and not to separate them?
Okay, so for example, for the conference or the workshops that we offer, like if I have a place for 10 people, and my goal is to actually get more women into technology, then obviously I would give the space to a woman, right? Like to 10 women. But as I said, we do involve men in the conversation, in the discussion. We do engage them in terms of them being coaches or, volunteering, at events. What else do we actually do? Yeah, they can be speakers as well as panelists for our events. So we're not stopping them from joining the conversation, but I cannot change the ratio if I'm giving 10 places to men, when actually what I wanted to do is to get those 10 women to shift to tech. So I think it's pretty obvious that I have to be conscious, I have to be intentional as to what I'm doing. So,
True.
Yeah.
And I think this connects to the second question, that there are some free conference accesses for women, but the man has to pay. So isn't that discrimination of men?
Yeah, it does sound like discriminatory, but as I said, my conferences are free. So
we have to promote them somehow, right?
Yeah, different models. Yeah.
So how can we, as a women, also make room for women from other underrepresented groups to have their voices heard?
Yeah, as I said, it's a matter of reaching out to these different demographics, and making sure that they get the same opportunities like anyone.
And so if you know the women like this, so how to attract them to work for you?
Okay, first we need to change the environment, I think. It has to really be well. Unfortunately, that's it. We need to change the environment, because there's been a lot of stories where
so
women
what would you change?
Have left the companies because there's been a lot of situations where it was really untenable for them to stay. And as I said, allies really are needed to change this. And I keep on repeating that, I know.
Can you share some personal experience with some women changing their career in tech?
Oh, okay. So there was, we had an event in November 2016, and there was a young solicitor. She attended for the first time, and she enjoyed it. And she came back December of the same year. and she was telling me that, I just handed in my resignation last week, because now I want to shift to tech. And it's all because she got interested in what we were discussing and we were talking about. So now she's actually a Java developer, from being a young lawyer to a Java developer, and she's enjoying it so much. Yeah.
Very nice. And last kind of contract question or comment. It's very sad to see how many people have a problem with women-only events. So how do you recommend dealing with these people who don't understand? How to explain them that we have to promote women?
Yeah, I don't really. I think it's a natural reaction. So I totally understand that if you're introduced to something that you're not familiar with, you will have that initial reaction of like resisting it. But as I said, it's a matter of just talking about it a lot more, and educating both men and women to understand that this is something that we need to be intentional about, and that we need to consciously make sure that happens everywhere.
Okay, Jen, thank you very much.
No worries. Thanks a lot. Okay.